We took each of the maps that we've made for our 2A history project up until now, and we printed them out and bound those into a book. We're going to go through each of those maps and make a quick video for this series. Join us for Maps of 2A. We're taking a look at Maps of 2A. The idea here was to print out all the maps that we've been using for the Minuteman University project and be able to do a series of videos like this. So we've been talking about some of the negative stuff. We started out with permit required to own, very few states. We talked about firearms registration, just a couple of states. Next we're talking about permit required to purchase. Man, one of the most heinous, I think. And it's a frustrating map to look at too, because we're doing so well. If you consider the green, which is typically pro-freedom, pro-individual liberty, and pro-property rights, the green is not as big on this map as it is on some of the others. So this is one where we've got lots of fight potential and lots of work ahead of us. So let's take a look at what we're seeing here. So this would be states that require some sort of a permit or what am I trying to say? They're trying to allow you permission to purchase a firearm. So it's not a ban, and it's not a registration, and it's not a permit, but it's a permit to purchase. It's not a ban, but it's you have to have our permission first, and if we don't offer the permission, then it's not a ban. And it's not a registration, but they know every gun you've purchased. So unless they're required to throw that information away, and each state's different, and unless they've got, well, there's pretty much nothing else. That's pretty much a horrible thing. Now, I'm not up to date on this. Part of the project is to get all this stuff down, and then all this blank stuff is to put all the details. So first a definition, then some information about which states became when, the history, the timeline, but also what organizations are working on this, what laws are out there, which representatives are working on what bills to remove some of these infringements, right? This is some backdoor stuff. This is one of the worst maps in this series, I think. So let's look at it again. We've got states that are green, which have no permit to purchase. You don't have to ask permission. You don't have to get a permission slip every time you buy a firearm in the states that are green. Great. Now, how can those states help the states that are in orange or red? The states that are in red, you need a permit to purchase any firearm, I suspect. I'm not going to say I'm an expert on this. I don't even remember. I did these maps weeks or months ago now. So whenever I did the research, I asked everybody on the different platforms if these maps were accurate, and the people that helped edit, looked at and helped me figure it out. If these are wrong, let me know. But these states in red require a permit to purchase any firearm. Then we have the states that require partial. I suspect that's mostly handguns, but who knows what kind of elaborate schemes they've come up with. So part of the project in the future, when we get more time, which means funding, right, we're going to extrapolate on what this stuff is. So when we talk about this particular element of permit required to purchase, I really think this is one of the worst things they've got going against us, and one of the most difficult to, or one of the least amount of time is spent on this one. People aren't focusing on this, and it's not because they don't want to, because they have to deal with it. All these people are having to deal with it. It's just that they become accustomed, and because there's so many other things that they're getting attacked with, especially in those states, this is just one of the hill of beans that they got to work on, right? So that's what our goal is to get information out there. Think about all these people in the green states that don't have nothing. Appreciate your sisters and brothers in those other states that are dealing with this every single time they purchase, having to ask permission, something that we can all work to remove. All right, some of the other stuff we're going to look at is age restrictions, background checks. Next up, I think we're going to look at waiting periods, which again can be a little backdoor backdoor business. So let us know what you think in the comments. Again, this one's probably got a lot of potential for error because it's a pretty much a horrible one, and I know I'm only showing the tip of the iceberg on how heinous this one is in infringements. our series is to shed light on this stuff. My goal is to spend all kinds of time on this. I'd spend every single day on it if I could. If you'd like to make that possible, we do have a Patreon. We talk about it at the end of every video. Patreon is like subscribing to what we do. So if you want to throw a couple of bucks at us each month, that accumulates, and then we can spend more and more time on this stuff. Again, we'd like to have each of these maps be a timeline, a little animated thing that shows how we got to where we are. There's so many stories in these maps. When you think about each of these elements is representing the situations in 50 different states. Each of those stories in each of those 50 states is somebody did something. Think about the content that's out here. If we stop paying attention to the new gun of the day and look back at how we got to where we're at. I know not everybody's going to dig that, but I certainly think about all that when I start thinking about what these maps represent and what all's going on with the Second Amendment and that kind of thing. So let us know what you think in the comments. That's a lot at the end of this one, but that was an important one. The permit required to purchase is one of the most heinous. Of course, we're about to look at waiting periods, and I think that one's another razor blade that most people don't think about, but it can be or maybe a double-edged blade. It can be a tough one. All right, that's the end of this one. Till next time, thanks for watching. So let us know what you think. We'll be watching the comments wherever you find the video, over on gunstreamer.com or on guntube.org. Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourages you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching gunwebsites.com.